Okay, bud. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone. Presented by Brock. Very good, Drew. Attaboy. Attababy. Drew slept all the way until 6 a.m. You can watch Elevator on Mommy's phone tonight. What about that? What do you think about that? After you wake up from your nap, you can watch Elevator on Mommy's phone. He likes to watch these videos of like elevators being serviced, and there's some YouTube channel where this guy just goes to different hotels all over the country and just goes on different elevators. And Drew likes to watch that. You want to say good morning to everybody?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Let's see. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Cole Piers, good morning. Charlie Cavell, Trivia Carter, Brennan Kluka, Stephen Miller, Everett Email, James Tyrone in Nashville, Shelby Kelly, what's up? Todd Cambry, what's up? Steven says, what's great with you Sconers this morning? What's great with you, Sconer? Hello, Sconer? Huh? Sarah and you will see Sarah and Catherine today. Yes, you will. That's a true story. That is a stone cold lead pipe lock. Indeed. That's a lock of the week. Lock of the week. Let's see. Josh Long, good morning. Drew, come.
Yay.
Yay.
Mimi, come.
Mimi, come. You're fine. Good morning. Bob Kubrick, what's up? Matthew Rogelio, good morning.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Macy's Mommy car.
And go to Macy's and Mommy's car. Yep. So if it's your birthday, you got a little happy birthday shout out there. Let's see. Chris Williams, Darren Pellegrin, what's up, man? Brian Wynn. Cole Piers, LSU football on fire this past week. Football recruiting. Man, oh man. So yesterday on AFR had Steve Wiltfong. If you don't know who that is, Steve Wiltfong is the National Director of Recruiting for 247 Sports. He's one of the big national guys in recruiting. So I had Steve on the show because I wanted to get a national perspective on this LSU recruiting class. If you didn't see over the weekend, they got another commitment from a 5-star wide receiver out of the D.C. area. They had a 4-star safety from Tucson, Arizona on campus. That visit apparently went really, really well. And so, considering they had the number one class in the country, I was like, let me get Steve on and get some perspective on what they're doing, right? All these out-of-state kids, California, D.C., Baltimore, Georgia, Texas, all over the place. And so we talked about everything. He talked about Ogeron, who's always had a great reputation as a recruiter, has just, become even more locked in as a head coach. Eli's house. You can go to Eli's house. Eli's Drew's cousin. And then last night, I guess depending on what scouting service, but the number 2 inside linebacker in the country popped for LSU. So it's like, I'm tweeting out the link to the interview with Steve Wiltfong talking about Rakeem Jarrett, the 5-star wide receiver, and as I'm tweeting all that out, within like 20 minutes, they get another commit from this linebacker. This is the kind of haul that you assumed would become the norm with Ogeron as the head coach, where he's always had the reputation as a dynamic recruiter, and that he'd be able to assemble a staff of recruiters and they'd roll. And they had a good class last year. They were consensus top 5. A lot of that had to do with in-state kids. And they did have some high-profile, misses last year. But, in class two years ago was super disappointing with the way that all transpired. You didn't get a quarterback. Surtain was a guy who you had forever, and then you lost out on him. I think this is the kind of class everyone envisioned being the norm when Ed became the head coach. Now, translated onto the field, and Got to get linemen. I love seeing cornerbacks and receivers and linebackers and safeties, and that's fun. That's awesome. You got to get the linemen too. It's just, by Orgeron's own admission, last year after the Alabama game, he said, we got to get better up front. I got to recruit better linemen. And a lot of people are upset with him for saying it, and I didn't think that was the right time to say it. But it was honest, and he's right. LSU doesn't have linemen being drafted every year anymore like they did. They're not churning out All-Americans on the offensive defensive linemen. Excuse me. So, that's the biggest difference right now. That's the biggest differentiator. So, right now they got 2 defensive linemen committed. They're the 2 lowest rated prospects in this class. They got time. They got 11 more spots. You better go get you some linemen. That's got to be the focus. But yeah, it's been impressive what they're doing, man. No question. Megan Hurst, good morning. Catherine Marie, good morning. Matthew Shelley, Stephen Beach, Preston Schulze, good morning. Mark Landry, hey Troy, good morning. Kelly Presley, love your show. Thank you, Kelly. It's very, very cool. Appreciate that. Oh, I got to hit the share button. I'm hitting the share. Hopefully you will hit the share button as well. Remember, sharing is caring. Sharing is how we grow this show organically. We're coming up on tomorrow. Tomorrow is episode 400 of Morning Scone. Can you believe that? Tomorrow is episode 400. Sarah Catherine. You see both of them today. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Jeremy Fontana. Scone went to Calandro's. Got that elk bottle, 25 of 210. Boom. There you go, dude. Old elk. I got 2 of them, as a matter of fact. But it's over there if you can see it. The Old Elk Barrel Pick. It's the straight bourbon whiskey. Barrel Pick. You'll see. Well, if you're a bourbon drinker, you know someone who is. Whiskey drinker. This is the Old Elk. You'll notice it's the Barrel Pick because it's got the specialty label here. And then Barrel Picks all have stickers on them, so you'll be able to tell. This one was number 56 of 210. So, anyway, you'll go buy Calandro's. Get you a bottle of Calandro's Old Elk Barrel Pick. Spectacular. Let's see. William Engeman, good morning. Radio signal bad this morning. Turned off T-Bob's Game of Thrones. Turned on the Morse code. You know what, William? By the way, great news for those people listening in New Orleans. They went back to full power yesterday. But if you're having trouble, this happens like twice a year. It's there's a very technical term involved with it, but basically seasonally there's an atmospheric condition that happens, and in the morning our signal kind of gets wrecked, which is why we pushed so hard when we were just 104.5, which a lot of people may even remember. It's been 10 years, but 104.5 and 104.9, and then we added the stream, and then we added the app, and then we added HD2, and we added video. It's why we've made the show and the station available on so many different platforms, because we realized we had an early disadvantage because of the small signal, the weak signal, but we also recognize to let people listen however they want. So anyway, let's see. Shelby Bebe waved the Mutombo finger at Saban last night in regards to number 1 class. Yeah, so Alabama got a flip last night from Oklahoma, and it bumped Alabama to the number 1 class. And then like an hour later, Ed got the commit from that linebacker, the number 2 inside linebacker in the country. And so that moved LSU back to number 1. So they're Bama and LSU are volleying back and forth right now for the number 1 class in the country. Curtis Blanchard, good morning from Baltimore. It sucks up here. I'd imagine. It's nice, man. You can tell we're getting into some nicer weather. So we just this morning, like we have a pool, and I was checking the Polaris, the vacuum that cleans the bottom of the pool, and normally you reach my hand in the water to grab that thing and unkink it or whatever, and the water's been cold. Today was the first day I reached my hand, and I was like, ooh, I could. And I'm a total wuss. Like I don't do cold. Like it's got to be like not bath water, but close to it. Like if I'm going to get a chill when I jump in, I'm not doing it yet. But today was the first day I was like, I'm getting that. Summer's almost here, man. I'm excited about it. Craig Polt, good morning. AJ Holland, Gamogan. Spit up scent on, ready to kill today. Spit up scent. Dad life, hashtag dad life. Charlie, oh, by the way, 8 o'clock, so in 15 minutes, Sirius XM is calling me. Peter Burns, Chris Doran to do an interview. So I have the phone. I think they're going to call the landline. So what I may do is leave this rolling if y'all want to hear that interview. So let me know if you want to hear it. If not, we'll shut it down at 8. But if y'all want to hear that interview, let me know, and I'll just leave it rolling. Charlie Cavell, what do you think will be Woodward's first big move? Well, he may have to address the Will Wade stuff after this trial. So yesterday, if you missed it, there was more. There was another layer to the Will Wade stuff. So they played a tape in the court proceedings. It was not Will Wade, it was Book Richardson. So Book Richardson was an assistant coach at Arizona. Well, Book Richardson is on the recording telling Christian Dawkins that he's got a deal with Will Wade, or he told Will Wade, he was talking to Will Wade about Nas Reid. And this is Book Richardson talking to Dawkins. He says, Will told me he's got $300,000 for Nas Reid. I told him, give me half of it and I'll make sure the kid goes there.
Eli's house.
Eli's house.
Hi.
Hi.
Eli, hi.
Eli's house. Okay, bud. Anyway, so LSU released a brief statement yesterday just saying it's very fluid. We'll have no comment at this time, which is the right thing to do, by the way. So that's one big change already. Anyway, depending on what else comes out in this trial, and I don't think anybody knows for certain. He just locked me in here. Anyway. Hi. Hey, Drew. Hey.
Dad show.
This is Dad's show. What are you doing?
Dad show car.
Dad's show car. Dad's show does not have a car. There's no official car of Dad's show. But go to South Point Volkswagen. And take your Volkswagen from South Point to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Shoulder injuries, knees, all that jazz. Any subspecialty, they got you covered at the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. So anyway, I know it's a long way of answering your question, Charlie. He's obviously going to have to keep an eye on what happens here with Will Wade and what else comes of this trial. Everyone, I think, always looks at coaches. I think the two most obvious, I would say, are women's basketball. And then I think you have to wonder with Dee Dee Bro in gymnastics, like, how much longer does she coach, right? Like, you've got Jay Clark there. And I get that most people aren't going to be super concerned with, with potential coaching turnover in gym. But I do think that that's the other one. I think those are the two primarily. And not that, they just went to the 4 on the floor again. It's 6 of the last 7 years, 5 of the last 6, whatever it is. Anyway, but that transition, if you want to keep Jay Clark around, that transition, there has to be something put in place as far as a transitional plan. Anyway. Let's see. Annie Van Kerkhoff Halpin, good morning. Aubrey Efferson, today is Miss Margaret's birthday. Oh, I will have to tell Drew that today. Oh, hey, Aubrey. Good morning, Aubrey. Aubrey from Abilities. We were saying that we were telling Drew earlier he was going to see Aubrey and BB. Hey, Drew. Jeffrey Richards, good morning. Dave Schultz, what's up, dude? Chad Holmes. I watched some tape on the inside linebacker. He hits insanely hard. Love it. Cool. Thomas Chapman, good morning. Stephen Miller, got to land some big uglies too. So you and I are speaking the same language. I'm sure most people probably feel the same way. I know they have one offensive tackle committed. Look, and they're in on Jaquelin Roy from U-High. They had him committed at one point. Ogeron FaceTimed him from the draft. So, Andrew Brister, morning scones. Do you think Will Wade being implicated again means anything? I don't know that my feeling has changed any on this. And my feeling all along is Will Wade probably cheated, got caught. LSU supporting him because there's nothing but circumstantial evidence. They're going to continue to support him, and I am curious to see what the NCAA does when they inevitably open an investigation into all of this corruption in college basketball. And maybe it's nothing. But anyway, so I don't think it changes anything yet. Let me see if anything else comes out in this trial. Hey, Dad. Good morning, Corey Gotro, Hal Jubin. Joe Juba, what's up, dude? Y'all go get some 19 Crimes wine. Support my guy, Joe Juba. It's good stuff, too. Very affordable. Good bottle of wine for like $10. Let's see. Stephen Miller, reading between the lines of Paul's little presser yesterday. I don't look for Henry to pitch this weekend. I didn't get that takeaway. And I don't know if he will. I think it's one of those things where, kind of like Hess last week, they weren't sure early on in the week that he was going to be available, and then he ended up telling the coaches that he was fine and ended up pitching out of the bullpen. Not this weekend, last weekend, 2 weekends ago. So it may be one thing where Cole Henry takes a couple days off and is good Wednesday, and he goes through his starter routine and is ready to pitch Friday. So, I think if they had to pitch today, I'd agree with you. But let's see what I can find out. Let's see. Shelby Kelly, need to get Shay or Billy on, talk about where we stand with Roy. Or maybe I'll get Roy on. Let's see. John Melanson, good morning. Chris Williams, did I hear right that if LSU softball wins series against Bama, they will be SEC champs? If they sweep their SEC champs, if they win 2, they need some help, but they can tie. But yes, big weekend. Try to get Beth Torino on this week as well. Need to do that. Reid Sutton, good morning. James, I'm going a little fast, y'all. I just want to we've got 8 minutes left till they're calling me for this Sirius XM interview. So let's see. James Morgan, LSU and Ole Miss series this weekend. Your opinion? I love LSU at home. Ole Miss at the start of the year hit the ball very well. They were struggling to pitch it. Now they're pitching it a little bit better and continuing to hit, obviously, with the weather getting warmer. So I think Ole Miss is a good team that's been on the come. I love LSU at home, though, to find a way to win 2 out of 3 at home, especially if Cole Henry goes. Let's see. Jeremy, I'm going back this weekend for more. Didn't have much left on display. Oh, I guess you're talking about the... there you go, Thomas Chapman. Got 2 bottles, too. Y'all talking about the Old Elk. Irfan said the 100.3 tower fix didn't take. Irfan, it's back to full power. There was 2 things that they had to do that were little tweaks that might have caused a temporary glitch depending on where you are, but it's back. It's back to full power. You're good. You're gonna be good. Tell me today after AFR if you still can't hear it. Jamie Levine, how long will Woodward hear the Will Wade insinuations before he's had enough? This has to damage our brand. There are plenty of quality coaches out there. That's the unknown. And I asked Scott Woodward that. I told you I would, and I did last Tuesday when nobody else would. And he deflected the question. So you can't deflect it forever, and you can't hide Will Wade forever. Eventually Will's going to have to speak to the media. Probably not soon, but you got all the summer stuff with the coaches caravan coming up, and then ultimately you're going to have basketball media days. And after the signing class is done, the guys who declare for the draft or whoever decides they're coming back, Will's going to have media availability to talk about his roster. I mean, you can't hide your basketball coach forever. So, they've got time to plan what they want to say and how they want to approach it, but eventually they're all going to have to speak. You can't just show up next year in November and start coaching basketball. Brian Myers, good morning. EJ, morning, Matt and Drew. LSU seems to have a 4th pitcher, but what's the word on Hill? Through a little bit, starting to get closer. That's what Larry said yesterday. My feeling all along is if you can get Jaden Hill back in time for the SEC tournament, just to have another guy that can throw 90s even for an inning out of the bullpen, that's a best case right now. And if they're committed to moving Hess back to the bullpen, I don't know that you have a definitive fourth starter. You have a guy that can be a starter for you if you need him to be, but I don't like that yo-yo back and forth. But if they go Henry, Walker, Marceau, you got 3, and you know that Hilliard can start and that Hess can start for you. So you got guys that can, but not in those definitive roles if you move Hess back to the bullpen. Let's see, Ronnie Duga. Hey, Cheryl, good morning. Everett T-Bob's ego blocks the signal. Oh, crazy. Cheryl's in Boston. Good morning from Boston, Beantown. Andy Cohn, good morning. Craig Savoy, good morning. Stephen Miller, heck yeah, let it roll. Oh, y'all talking about my series interview. Okay. Wait, hang on. Let me do this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to sorry, y'all. Come on. Okay. I was texting the guy to make sure he called the landline. Okay. I did it via my very handy Apple Watch. Anyway. Hey, Robbie, what's up, man? Stephen Miller, hearsay, third-party information. Yeah, okay. You mean you're skeptical? Brian Myers, how long can this trial drag on? Long time, man. It's a federal trial. It's a federal bribery trial. Robbie, my opinion, if they had anything substantial, this would already be over. The thing I'd remind you, though, is the NCAA doesn't have the same burden of proof as a court of law. So the NCAA doesn't have to, like, the burden of proof isn't the same, you know. They can essentially do what they want based on whatever information they have. So it's something worth keeping in mind. Joey Painich, good morning. Craig, keep it rolling. I'm curious how you balance Drew and the serious crew. I'm closing these doors, though, however. And my mother-in-law is here, and she's got Drew in the other room right now. So needless to say, Drew will not be coming in here during this interview. Hey, Beth DeVille, good morning. Tell Gordy Dad's show needs a car. Have it wrapped with the images of Drew. Yeah, right. I can't even. I buy my own shirts. You think Gordy's going to give me a car? Robert Gremion, what's up? Is the PB show online to listen? It's on Sirius, man. You have to have a Sirius XM subscription. Matt. Hey, Frank, I'm good, man. How are you? Yep. Yeah. Sounds good, dude. Thanks. Okay.
For your body, Peter Manning has developed a fresh line of apparel specifically designed for us guys of more modest height. So no more baggy pants and no more pirate arms. With the largest selection of shorter inseam pants and proper fitting shirts, they'll have you looking good and feeling great. Check out PeterManningNYC.com and discover great fit. You can use code SPORTS for 20% off your order. That's PeterManningNYC.com and use code SPORTS for 20% off.
No one comes to the Southeastern Conference looking for less. This is where you gladly step up, sign up, and raise your hand for a heaping helping of more. More ways to challenge and push yourself, more people from more countries to meet and learn from, more opportunities to impact your community, both locally and globally. But we celebrate championships like no other. But that's nowhere close to the whole story. Yeah, in the SEC, it just means more.
Death Valley on a Saturday night. This is Sirius XM SEC Radio, Channel 374. The foundation for a college football championship team is laid during spring camp. The position battles impact players. But it all
Short term, Joe Brady. Long term, obviously, the recruiting. But, I mean, Peter, the biggest... I understand a lot of people are going to be skeptical because you've watched LSU play football for the past decade or longer, and offensively it's been a struggle. But the reality is when LSU goes through the spring game and everyone's told that they're not showing anything, yet you don't see LSU take a single snap under center for the entire spring game, that's different. When you see LSU running tempo, no huddle, throwing the ball to the backside of the backfield, that's different. So how many more wrinkles do they have? How willing are they to be that diverse in games in the fall? We'll see, but man, it just felt like watching a completely different football program when we got to see him this spring. Well, yeah, it's huge, Chris. I mean, the other part of it, too, remember, is that this is the first time that LSU's had a returner at a returning starter at quarterback since Zach Mettenberger in 2013. Brandon Harris had started in 2015, and he was back in 16, but he lost that job to Danny Etling. So this is just atypical, right? To have the guy that's the leader of your team, the leader of your offense, who has the respect of the team and has everyone's ear, to be back in that position is just huge because LSU hasn't had it. I mean, we all know the struggles that they've had at quarterback. And you mentioned Burrow falling in their lap, Chris, a year ago at this time. Like, it was Justin McMillan, Lowell Narcisse, and Miles Brennan battling through spring for the starting quarterback job. Burrow wasn't even on campus until June. So, I mean, to say that LSU offensively, from the personnel, the approach, the staff, just feels like a completely different team than they were a year ago at this time. It's not hyperbole. I mean, they are. They've got a different philosophy. They've got a different quarterback. They've got different personnel. I mean, it's very different. Now, will it work? I don't know. I mean, let's not forget, guys, when Matt Canada came through here, that was very different as well. And they came up snake eyes on that one. So, if nothing else, though, you got to respect the fact that at least they're acknowledging as a staff that what they've been doing isn't working in the modern age of football, and they needed to do something different, and they're trying to do something different. Right? Well, here's the biggest... Okay, when there was a point where Les Miles had a winning record against Nick Saban, and the difference with those LSU teams and these teams that have lost, 8 in a row now to Alabama? I've lost count. The difference is the line of scrimmage. Then LSU had Glenn Dorsey and Drake Nevis and Michael Brockers and Claude Roten and Ricky Jean Francois. I mean, they had all-American linemen that were NFL draft picks, and Tyson Jackson, and like that's where you've seen the lull, where Alabama's continued to stockpile on both lines of scrimmage. That's where LSU's had their lull. I mean, LSU's continued to recruit receivers and corners and safeties and linebackers, and plenty of them. Where they've missed right now is on great linemen to be able to look. Hey guys, it's not breaking news. I mean, after LSU lost to Alabama last year, Ed Ogeron went into his post-game press conference and said, "We got to be better on the line of scrimmage. I have to recruit better linemen." Now, a lot of people around here didn't like him saying that because it was in a post-game press conference and it felt like he was calling out players. But the reality is, like, he's right. I mean, that is the biggest discrepancy between the two programs right now. I mean, LSU's started this past season with more players on NFL rosters than any program in America. It's not lack of talent. It's lack of physicality on the line. That's where Alabama's created separation. That's where Clemson has caught up with everybody else. I mean, Tua's a great player. Trevor Lawrence is a great player. There's great players throughout college football at skill positions, at quarterback, at receiver, at running back. I mean, the difference with those two teams right now is at the line of scrimmage, and that's where LSU's got to catch back up. Yeah. Well, it's the guys who you mentioned a minute ago, which is Rashard Lawrence. I mean, Grant Delpit can certainly be that guy. And, Chris, you probably know this well, better than I do, but if you're, like, when the best player on the field speaks up, it tends to just carry a little more gravitas, and Delpit has that, right? I mean, he was a unanimous All-American last year. But Rashard, you ask anybody, coaching staff, players, who the leader is of the team, like who's the vocal guy that everyone just falls in line, it's Rashard Lawrence. So getting Lawrence back this year is not only huge because you have an anchor on the defensive line, which we just got done talking about the need for improvement there. You get your anchor on the defensive line back, but you also have the guy who was the leader of your defense. I mean, make no mistake, guys. I mean, Devin White we all saw him. I mean, he's spectacular. There's a reason he was the 5th pick in the draft. But as far as, like, vocal leaders that everyone will say that's the guy, it's Lawrence, and it's huge that they have him back. So this is the best way that I've figured it out, at least until this point, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Steve Ensminger is still the offensive coordinator, and Steve Ensminger is going to be in the booth on Saturdays, and he is going to call the plays. This spring, Joe Brady controlled about 75% of the offensive practice this spring. And it makes sense, right? Because he's bringing in new concepts, and spring is a time when you can implement those. And you need the guy who's bringing them in to take control in some respects. So something else that happened that a lot of people may not know is that Jerry Sullivan, who was the passing game coordinator, was also previously in the booth with Steve Ensminger on Saturdays and would make suggestions about play calls and how to attack and things like that. I fully expect Joe Brady will take that role as well. And Brady will be a guy during games that will make suggestions to Ensminger and about different ways to attack. But Steve's the offensive coordinator. He will call the plays. But as a staff, they're going to work together and putting game plans together. But it was interesting that this spring, it was predominantly Brady running the offensive practice because it's so much more than just words. People say actions speak louder than words. Their actions this spring were that they're in on changing conceptually what they do offensively. The bigger question for me comes, let's say hypothetically, week 1, you're playing Georgia Southern and you have this newfangled offense and you scuttle a little bit. It's just not sharp. Week 2, yeah. So they went to Mississippi State and they got smacked around, and then the next week they're playing Troy and they're not doing any of the shifting anymore because the head coach disagreed on the way to approach it offensively. So if they go to Austin in week 2 and they're scuffling, does Ed revert to power football lineup, too tight running back, which we know he's got in his arsenal? That for me is the more interesting thing. It's not will they run a new offense. It's not are they doing it. It's what happens when they face some adversity, which is inevitable. What do they do? It's really hard for me to buy it, Chris, until they show they can beat Alabama, and you got to go to Tuscaloosa. So even if you concede that game and they win every other one, and by the way, LSU early lines in Vegas will be favored to win every game except Alabama. Even the game at Texas, they're an early 7.5 point favorite. So even if you concede Bama and they win, just if you follow me in that, they win every other game, like, you need Bama to lose twice somewhere along the way for LSU to get to Atlanta. I don't know that I see that happening. The other part is potentially, could LSU have happened what happened with Bama 2 years ago, and as an 11-1 team not play in the SEC championship, but if their only loss is to Alabama, could they get in the playoff like Bama did when Georgia won the SEC? Maybe. That depends on what happens in the rest of college football. It's hard. It's just hard for me at this point to get over that national championship hurdle until LSU can beat Alabama, which, I mean, they're closing on a decade that they haven't beaten that team. And until they do, it's hard for me to pick it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get asked about Emory all the time, and that's, for those that don't know, that's the 5-star running back, number 1 or number 2 ranked running back in the country, I guess, depending on what scouting service you subscribe to. It's just, Peter, I watched Leonard Fournette come through here as a true freshman, and he didn't really establish himself as the bell cow until midway through his freshman year. It's just really hard for me to imagine a kid showing up on campus in June, going through workouts, then fall camp through August, and then he's just the guy September 1. I mean, maybe it'll happen. It's not completely unprecedented. We've seen freshmen do it. Maurice Claret did at Ohio State. But, I mean, those are outliers. I absolutely think John Emery's going to play. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been around. He fits what they want to do offensively. He's going to play a ton. And he's, as a veteran guy, is going to get the first crack. Chris Curry's another guy. He redshirted last year. He played really well this spring, and he'll likely have a role also. You've got Emory, but don't forget they got Ty Davis as well. That's a kid from Baton Rouge. I think he was the number 6 running back in the country. He's a little different style. He's a bigger, more physical runner, and he's a guy that I fully expect to play a lot as a freshman. But both of those freshman running backs are going to play this year. It just strikes me that they're going to do it by committee with the 4, and I guess you could say 5 if you throw in Leonard Fournette as well. I think Jamar Chase is the guy, and I don't know if that's a total cop-out because he did play last year as a true freshman. He had a breakout in the bowl game, the Fiesta Bowl, but if you look statistically, he didn't pop a ton just because they didn't run a lot more than 2 receiver routes last year because they struggled to protect, so they typically had a tight end and a fullback in the game to help protect. But Jamar Chase is a guy that is fluid. He is a technically sound receiver. He's special with the ball in the air. I mean, I hate to draw comparisons because people are like, oh, you're comparing him to, but like as a freshman, he reminded me of watching a young Odell when he was at LSU. I'm not saying the guy that's the all-pro receiver in the NFL. I'm just saying as a guy who as a freshman in college, knew the route tree and conceptually how to get in and out of breaks and just was a technically sound receiver that had a great skill set to go with it. I think another year's rapport with Joe Burrow, and then in this offense, if you're looking for someone to break out, I think Jamar Chase, the sophomore receiver, is probably the guy to keep an eye on. Oh, I'm going to tell Hester you said that. Touche. Okay, dude. See you. All right, Frank. Anytime, man. Okay. See you. And that's 15 minutes of radio. So that was Peter Burns and Chris Doring. And at the end, he told me, what you heard at the end was he said, when it comes to covering LSU, nobody does it better. And I said, I'm going to tell Hester you said that. He said, well, tell him. And then when he's on, I'll say, nobody does it better than Hester. Yeah, it's funny. All right, I got to get rolling. Is anybody, some of y'all are still watching? Wow. Were any of y'all commenting during that? Brady. Oh, y'all are asking why I put it on speaker. Yeah, I'm not putting it on speaker because it's, as a courtesy to them, if I had it on speaker, it would sound terrible on broadcast. So, like, every time, like, when I have a guest on AFR, we always, the last thing we say is, like, do not put me on speaker, do not put me on headphones. So, if there was a way I could have, like, plugged the sound, like, split the sound and y'all could have heard it, that's fine. But, yeah, you can't put it on speaker just because it will sound terrible over the air with someone on speakerphone. All right, I got to go. Yup. Shelby, 62 people watching Matt do an interview. Safe to say we're done. All right, y'all. Shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Appreciate them as always. Please like their page. Oh, we can go say bye to Drew. Let's go say bye to Drew. See if we can find it. Hey, Drew, do you want to say bye? You want to say bye to Dad's show?
Bye, Dad. Show.
Say bye, Dad's show. Have a good day. You blew him a kiss. Say have a good day. Okay. We got all kind of blankets and stuff strewn about. Huh? Hey, what are you going to do today?
Bye, Dad. Show.
Okay, bye, Dad show. All right, see you later.